Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for April the 22nd of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest gaming news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it is your one-stop shop for all of the hottest gaming news that you need to know. And we have plenty to dive into today, and we are continuing this week's trend of talking about the Xbox brand because we now have a new logo for the Xbox Series X. The company, of course being Microsoft, registered the next-gen design earlier this week, and within a couple of days, it was scooped up by fans and popped on Reddit. And here is the official logo. Now, you see we have a black on white and a white on black version, but for the audio listeners out there, you essentially have the word Series turned 90 degrees on its side, where it's sitting vertically next to a divided X, and it's very modern, very minimalistic, but it is growing on me the more that I look at it. Now, PlayStation, on the other hand, revealed its PlayStation 5 logo in January, featuring, you guessed it, the letters PlayStation, or at least P, S, and 5. You know what that stands for? PlayStation 5. However, Microsoft has so far shown off the Xbox Series X console design and last month revealed the console's full technical specs to Digital Foundry. Now we are just waiting on some games. So there's a lot to dive into here, even if you don't believe that there is. This, first and foremost, will never replace the iconic Xbox branding. I do not think this is going to be phasing out what you see on the front of every Xbox 360 and Xbox One controller. This iconic X icon is an icon of gaming. It truly is. When I think about console gaming, I think about the Xbox logo. I think about the PlayStation logo. I think about the Nintendo logo, and none of those will ever change. They are ingrained in gaming culture. And so I think that what we are looking at here is something that is potentially going to be used on box art, maybe specific brand going forward, promotional videos, stinger transitions, whatever it might be, you will be seeing this type of design. And I think that I want to agree with a lot of what people have been saying on social media, and that is that this is the perfect setup to have multiple tiers of a single console. So officially, this new series of Xbox consoles is going to be called the Xbox. That's simply what it is. Then you have the Xbox Series X, and of course, we have a rumored Xbox Series S. So if you have two different tiers, this could be one of those games that is Series X enhanced, and you see this logo next to the word enhanced, or perhaps it is just the icon that represents additional enhancement to accompany that additional power brought by the Xbox Series X. But regardless, that's the kind of branding we are going to be seeing from Microsoft. It is strange, I must admit. I'm a big fan of the classic style Xbox approach. I love that original logo. I will never not love it. And of course, I love the touch-up that they had with the Xbox 360 and the slight change to a flatter icon that they had to the Xbox One. This is very much so a departure, but hey, it's what we've got because it has been leaked thanks to a trademark filed earlier this week. However, moving on to the PlayStation 5, a former PlayStation 5 engineer suggests that Sony has much more to show regarding the console. If you are worried that everything we could possibly know about the PlayStation 5 is out there right now, do not be. As former PlayStation 5 engineer Matt Hargett has suggested that Sony could have a lot more to say regarding its next-generation PlayStation offering from a technical perspective. When quizzed about VRS, variable rate shading, and GPU-efficient rendering technology that is supported by Xbox Series X but not yet announced for the PlayStation 5, Matt Hargett suggested in a Twitter exchange with Digital Foundry's Alex Battaglia that we still have a lot to discover about the technical makeup of the PlayStation 5. Indeed, we are still waiting the full teardown of the PlayStation 5 spec that lead system architect Mark Cerny promised us last month, and which could unveil the PlayStation 5's cooling solution for the first time, while rumors are starting to build apace for a full-throated May reveal for the console and the games that will accompany its holiday season. So what do you think? Are we excited yet? Personally, I am, and I've been excited for a long time, but I wanted to bring this up because it seemed like common sense to me, but the more that I thought about it, the more that it seems like we know everything there is to know about the next generation consoles, specifically in regards to the Xbox Series X, and really the only remaining piece of the puzzle in terms of hardware is the design for the PlayStation 5. But that's not the case, and that makes me very excited, because if you see two consoles side by side, one clearly more powerful, the other supposedly having better optimization, then you could be seeing somewhat of a neck and neck kind of race. And so I want to know everything there is to know about both sides of the aisle, because that's what gets me pumped. That's what gets me excited. However, May is going to be a very exciting month, especially in terms of the games, because it seems we might have a bit of a leak on our hands. A huge PlayStation 5 exclusive has been leaked ahead of reveal. A possible new PlayStation 5 exclusive has allegedly leaked ahead of the reveal. More specifically, according to a new report, there is a new Crash Bandicoot game that has been in development for 3 years already. Further, the game is scheduled to be revealed soon and will be marketed alongside the PlayStation 5, which is currently slated to release sometime later this year. The claim comes way of Portuguese journalist and writer Guru, who shared the news via their personal Twitter account. Unfortunately, this is where the salient details dry up. However, while Guru does not specifically state the game will be revealed soon, they note that Activision is gearing up to kick off the game's marketing campaign, which in turn means at the very least an announcement is imminent. Meanwhile, Guru claims the game will be marketed alongside the PlayStation 5. Of course, if this is the case, then it would all but confirm there is some type of exclusivity included in this deal. Whether it will be a permanent exclusive for the PlayStation 5 or just a timed one, who knows? But looking at similar deals between the two parties in the past, it is safe to assume it is the latter. Activision and Sony have been working together quite a bit in the past few years between Call of Duty, Destiny, and more. Included in this partnership has been many timed exclusivity deals. That said, it is important to point out that Guru says the deal between the two parties has not yet been finalized. Somewhat corroborating this claim. Collaborating? That's not the right word to use there. Confirming? Maybe echoing? I don't know about that one. But regardless, the claim is also being shared on the Crash Bandicoot community page, Crash Bandicoot Clubhouse, which notes all of this information checks out and adds we should see a reveal sometime this month or next month. Of course, all of this information should be taken with a major grain of salt. Nothing here is official, and further, even if everything here is accurate, it is also subject to change. So, a new Crash Bandicoot game to launch a new generation console. That's something that is interesting to me, to say the least. I don't know that this is going to be a major marketing push that is going to be riding the wave of the PlayStation 5. If this game is in fact real, and again, that is a major if, it will be a timed exclusive on the PlayStation that is almost guaranteed because of the deal that Activision has had, and you can look at the past Activision games that we have seen across various consoles over the past few years, including remasters. But I will say this totally checks out because you see tons of activity in the Crash Bandicoot brand. You see Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled making a big debut. On top of that, you have the Insane Trilogy making pretty big waves in the past couple of years. And then you see other IP getting a new breath of life with Spyro's Reignited Trilogy and other various remasters that have definitely seen a big resurgence in the current generation of consoles that we have. So I think Crash Bandicoot is definitely going to be coming. The big question is when, and of course this could be one of the games that we see next month as more and more announcements are made regarding what games we will be playing whenever the next generation of consoles does indeed launch. But hey, if you are a fan of Crash Bandicoot, congratulations, it looks like one is on its way. But on top of that, it seems Watch Dogs Legion will be a PlayStation 5 launch game. And of course, this is a rumor, but I think there is some credence to it. Watch Dogs Legion was originally scheduled to release on the 6th of March 2020. Kind of weird to think about it, isn't it? But even before this whole coronavirus thing began, Ubisoft delayed Legion and a number of other titles that it still has in the works, including Gods and Monsters and Rainbow Six Quarantine. At the time, Ubisoft did not give new release dates to any of these games. It simply said that they would launch beyond April of 2020. Now, here we are staring May in the face, and we are yet to hear much more on the release of Watch Dogs Legion. However, VGC reports that Legion is currently planned as a PlayStation 5 launch title, and it's set to debut alongside next-gen consoles, suggesting there won't be a current-gen version releasing before then. If true, it is an unsurprising development, but it has interesting implications. For starters, it would probably mean that the next Assassin's Creed title, which we know is coming, won't be on PS5 at launch, the reason being that Ubisoft won't want to release two of its heavy hitters on the same day. The same is true of something like the aforementioned Gods and Monsters. It is worth noting that Watch Dogs Legion has been confirmed as a cross-gen title for a while. As far back as E3 2019, developers have been calling Legion a game made for PlayStation platforms. Then in October of last year, Ubisoft said Legion would utilize PlayStation 5's features in extremely interesting ways. Of course, the big question that hangs over the industry right now is whether the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X will actually stick to their holiday 2020 launch windows, and only time will tell. Again, lots to break down here. First and foremost, I want to talk about this statement that there is fear that two Ubisoft games releasing on launch day on the PlayStation 5 or even other consoles will cannibalize each other. I don't necessarily believe that is the case, because I feel like the player base for Watch Dogs Legion is very much so different as compared to the player base for Assassin's Creed. Now, I will admit that there is going to be some crossover there because they are both semi-third-person games, they're both semi-action games, and they have this open-world style of approach. But I do think the topic, the setting, the aesthetic of the games, they are so diverse that they could very well actually thrive alongside each other. If I am looking at a slew of options for what I'm going to be buying on day one with a PlayStation 5, or even hypothetically an Xbox Series X, and I see an Assassin's Creed game alongside a Watch Dogs, depending on what else is coming out, I very well could pick up both of those just to have a bit of diversity in my gaming lineup. And so I think that that could be a bit of a weak point here, but I will also say this is very much so a good move. I wouldn't be shocked to see the game primarily be marketed as a next-gen game. I think that the current-gen versions are going to be somewhat of an afterthought in a lot of ways, the same kind of situation that we saw with the last-gen conclusion, where Watch Dogs was revealed and released on the PlayStation 3, but also was released on the PlayStation 4. On top of that, you have Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag that came out on both the last-gen consoles and the current-gen consoles. So I think that could be the situation we see here, and one is somewhat of the definitive version of the game, of course that being the new generation of the game. But hey, that's what we have right now, and again, this is all but a rumor, but Watch Dogs Legion seems to be a PlayStation 5 launch game. And speaking of Ubisoft, it seems that Vaas could be making a comeback, of course that being the incredibly popular enemy from Far Cry 3. The next Far Cry game may see legendary villain Vaas return. Far Cry is an over-the-top first-person shooter series that has not seen a new entry since the Far Cry New Dawn spinoff. The game was good, but it was not as good as Far Cry 3 or even Far Cry 4. However, it seems like Ubisoft is returning to its roots with the next entry, and we may see a familiar villain. According to IGN, the iconic villain Vaas may be reprising his role. During a Reddit AMA, Michael Mondo said the following. Quote, "Thank you so much. Vaas is my spirit animal. Having co-created that character is something that will always be dear to me. I still get recognized as Vaas, and I feel the outpouring of love for that character. Makes me very happy. Who knows, maybe I will reprise the role very soon." IGN noted that the use of very soon is odd, and that might hint at a direct sequel to Far Cry 3. It will be interesting to see where the game takes us this time around. What do you want from Far Cry 6? Interesting approach. I think that this normally wouldn't be something that I would really shake a stick at, but I do believe that there is something to be said about the use of very soon. That seems very strange. That seems like something that is very intentional. I don't know that we can necessarily bet on a direct sequel to Far Cry 3. We could even be looking at a prequel. You never really know when it comes to where game directors take their games. But I would not be opposed to seeing Vaas come back. I like that we have a bit of creativity in the world of Far Cry. I like the fact that there is always a new idea, and personally, I loved Far Cry 5. I thought it was phenomenal. Montana is such a diverse land, and of course the cult approach was so strange. But nonetheless, I do believe that we could be seeing a return from Vaas, and of course, again, very popular indeed. Now, we'll round off today's show with a PSA. Do not play Counter-Strike or Team Fortress 2 right now. According to SteamDB and several lengthy Reddit posts, some source code for popular Valve titles CSGO and TF2 was allegedly leaked. What does this mean? Potentially, it could put your computer at serious risk if you log onto these games, and possibly other source-based games like Half-Life 2 could be dangerous here as well, as theoretically, hackers could gain information, access, and even run malicious programs on your PC via this exploit. The serious takeaway is, don't log on to these games until the issue has been addressed, and of course they will update this post if news develops on that front, so you can stay tuned in to Game Informer right now. Very bad news. Do not, again, I repeat, do not log on to Counter-Strike or Team Fortress 2 right now. Instead, you should log on to Twitch and farm Valorant keys. There are no keys. But hey, if you go into any Valorant chat that is, of course, playing Valorant and you type !drops, don't worry, you're entered to win one. I apologize to my Twitch streamer friends. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about everything we talked about here today. How do you like the PlayStation logo? Of course, on top of that, the Xbox Series X logo. How do they stack up to each other? Will you get Watch Dogs Legion? Because I probably won't. Not a big fan of that series. But regardless, I'll be back tomorrow for a brand new episode of the show. But until then, have a good one and peace.